In the year 2147, the exploration ship Odyssey drifted slowly toward a huge ring-shaped station that floated above a swirling orange gas giant. The station belonged to the Galactic Coalition, a group of many alien species that had lived and traded together for thousands of years. No new species had joined them in a long time, so the arrival of humans caused great interest. Captain John Hayes stood on the bridge and looked at the giant structure through the main window. He was a calm man in his late 40s, with short gray hair and steady blue eyes. He had spent most of his life flying ships through empty space, always hoping to find something new. Today felt different. "Station Control is hailing us, Captain," said Lisa Morgan. She was the first officer, a sharp woman of 35, with dark hair tied back in a tight bun. Her voice stayed even though everyone on the bridge felt the excitement. "Open the channel," John said. A smooth, translated voice came through the speakers. It belonged to an alien called Vexar, one of the station's greeting officers. "Welcome, travelers from Earth. The Coalition extends formal greeting. Please send your diplomatic team to the Central Hall for registration and scanning." John nodded to his crew. "Prepare the shuttle. Standard diplomatic group. Myself, Lisa, Robert, Karen, and Stephen. No weapons. We come in peace." Robert Klein, the security chief, gave a small smile. He was tall and broad-shouldered, built like someone who spent years lifting heavy things. "No weapons means I get to use my charm instead." Karen Brooks, the chief engineer, laughed quietly. She had short red hair and always carried a small toolkit, even when she didn't need it. Stephen Grant, the marine biologist, looked a little nervous, but said nothing. He was younger than the others, and carried a tablet full of notes about possible alien life. The shuttle left the Odyssey and crossed the short distance to the station. When they stepped out into the bright central hall, they saw dozens of aliens waiting. Some were tall and thin with shining blue skin. Others looked like large insects with many legs. A few resembled upright wolves with thick fur. All of them watched the humans with wide, curious eyes. Vexar stepped forward. He had 4 arms and skin like polished stone. "Captain Hayes, we are honored. The Coalition requires every new species to pass through the Great Scanner. It reads your biology and assigns your place in our records. It has never been wrong." John gave a polite nod. "We understand. We are ready." The group followed Vexar down a wide corridor to a round chamber. In the center stood a tall silver pillar with a round opening at the top. Soft blue light glowed inside it. This was the Great Scanner, a machine built by the oldest species in the Coalition. It could look at any living thing and know its strengths, weaknesses, and chances of survival. One by one, the aliens asked the humans to step forward. First came John. He walked to the pillar and stood still. The blue light washed over him from head to toe. A low hum filled the room. Then the hum stopped. Words appeared in the air above the pillar, written in glowing common tongue that everyone could read. "No match detected." A quiet ripple of surprise moved through the alien crowd. Vexar tilted his head. "A rare error. The scanner will try again." John stepped back. The light scanned him once more. Same result. No match detected. Lisa went next. Same blue light, same hum, same words. No match detected. Robert followed, then Karen, then Stephen. Every time, the scanner gave the same answer. No match detected. The aliens began to talk among themselves. Some sounded worried. Others sounded angry. Vexar raised 2 of his hands for silence. "This has never happened before. The scanner knows every species in the known galaxy. Perhaps your biology is unusual. We will scan the whole group together." The humans stood side by side in front of the pillar. The blue light grew brighter and stronger. It covered all 5 of them at once. The hum became louder, almost like a song. Lights flashed along the pillar in patterns no one understood. Then, everything stopped. New words appeared, larger than before. Species, human. Status, unkillable. The chamber became completely silent. Even the air felt heavy. Vexar stared at the words for a long moment. This classification does not exist in our records. Unkillable is a theoretical term. It is used only for forms of life that cannot be ended by any known force. The scanner has never given this label to a real species. John looked at his team. Lisa raised one eyebrow. Robert crossed his arms. Karen whispered, "That's new." Stephen swallowed hard. "Does that mean we're safe?" Vexar turned to the humans. His voice sounded careful now. "The scanner does not lie, but this result creates a problem. The Coalition has rules for dangerous species. We must study this further. Your ship and crew will remain as guests until we understand what this means." John kept his face calm. "We came here to talk and learn. We will cooperate. But we are not a danger to anyone." Vexar did not answer right away. He looked back at the glowing words still floating in the air. "Unkillable," he repeated softly, as if testing the word. Outside the chamber, more aliens gathered. News traveled fast through the station. Whispers spread from one group to another. The new species from a small blue planet had broken the great scanner. And the ancient machine had given them a name no living thing had ever received. John glanced at Lisa. She gave him a tiny nod. They both knew the same thing. This was only the beginning. The humans followed Vexar out of the scanning chamber and into a wide guest habitat. The doors closed behind them with a soft click. Inside, the room looked comfortable. Soft lights, chairs, a view of the gas giant's storms. But everyone felt the weight of locked doors. Robert checked the walls with quick eyes. No obvious cameras, but I bet they're watching. Karen sat down and opened her toolkit anyway. Let them watch. We didn't come all this way to sit quietly. John stood by the window and looked at the swirling clouds below. He thought about Earth, about deserts that burned skin, oceans that drowned ships, mountains that froze blood, and forests full of things with teeth. They had climbed higher, dug deeper, and kept going when everything said stop. He turned to his team. "They called us unkillable. Maybe they're right, but we don't need a machine to tell us what we already know." Lisa smiled for the first time since they arrived. "We just have to show them." Outside, in the halls of the station, the debate grew louder. Some aliens wanted to send the humans away. Others wanted to test them. A few wanted something darker. The great scanner stayed silent now, its pillar dark. But the words it had shown still burned in every mind that saw them. Unkillable. And so the first meeting between humans and the Galactic Coalition ended, not with friendship or war, but with a single, impossible label that no one could ignore. The guest habitat was large and quiet. Soft yellow lights came from the ceiling. Big windows showed the endless storms of the gas giant turning in slow circles far below. Chairs and low tables filled the main room. A small kitchen area had food packs that tasted like nothing special. The 5 humans from the Odyssey sat or stood around, trying to look calm. John Hayes leaned against the window with his arms crossed. He watched the orange clouds twist and thought about what had just happened. The word unkillable still rang in his head like an echo that would not stop. Lisa Morgan sat at a table and tapped her fingers slowly. "They locked us in here like we might bite someone. That scanner scared them more than it scared us." Robert Klein walked the edges of the room. He checked corners and seams in the walls with careful eyes. "They think we are a problem now, a big one. I heard some of them talking outside before the door closed. Words like threat and containment." Karen Brooks opened her small toolkit on the floor. She pulled out a thin scanner of her own, a human-made device no bigger than her hand. Let me see if I can pick up anything from their systems, maybe some chatter or data leaks. Stephen Grant sat on the edge of a chair. His hands shook a little. What does unkillable even mean to them? We can die. I know we can. I've seen it happen on Earth. Accidents, sickness, old age. So why did the machine say that? John turned from the window. Because we don't quit. That's what it saw. The scanner does not just look at our bodies. It runs tests in its head. Millions of ways we could die. And in every test, something in us finds a way to keep going. Before anyone could answer, the door slid open. A tall alien stepped inside. His name was Zethar. He belonged to an old insect-like species with a hard black shell and 6 thin legs. 2 of his arms carried a flat data tablet that glowed softly. Zethar stopped a few steps inside and bowed his head slightly. I am Zethar, Chief Analyst of the Coalition Archive. I come to explain. John stepped forward. We are listening. Zethar looked at each human in turn. The Great Scanner is more than a tool for names and biology. It measures survival. It calculates how a species faces danger, physical damage, poison, hunger, fear, despair. It simulates every possible end and sees if the species can escape it. For most life forms, the machine finds a breaking point, a limit. Even the strongest species we know have limits. He paused and looked at the glowing tablet. Your species has no limit it can find. Your cells repair fast under stress. Your minds refuse to break, even when pain should stop thought. Your history shows you survive things no other race would. Cold that freezes blood, heat that cooks flesh, radiation, starvation, war, isolation. The scanner ran 10 million death scenarios on your group data. In every one, at least one human adapted, fought back, or simply refused to stop breathing. When the machine tried to force an end, the simulation crashed. It could not finish. So it gave the only label left. Unkillable, Lisa said quietly. Zethar nodded. Yes, it is not a word we use lightly. It means a form of life that cannot be removed from existence by normal means. The label is for gods or machines that think forever, not for flesh and blood. Robert gave a short laugh. We bleed. We break bones. We get scared. You saw us in there. We are not gods. Yet the scanner disagrees, Zethar said, and the Coalition listens to the scanner. Some now fear you. They say a species like this will not share power. They will take it. Others say you must be studied, taken apart to learn your secret. A few want removal. Karen looked up from her tool. Removal? You mean kill us? Zethar did not lie. Yes, the debate grows loud in the council chambers. They will decide soon. John kept his voice steady. We came to talk, to trade, to learn from each other, not to fight. I believe you, Zethar said, but belief is not enough. They will test the label. They will try to prove it wrong. Stephen stood up. What kind of test? Zethar hesitated. A controlled danger. One subject, many threats. If the subject dies, the label is false. If not, he let the words hang. Silence filled the room. Zethar turned to leave. I will return when they choose the method. Use this time well. The door closed behind him. Lisa looked at John. They are going to try to kill one of us, to see if we really are unkillable. John nodded slowly. Then we need to be ready. Karen, what can you get from their systems? Karen held up her small scanner. It blinked with weak signals. Their network is tight, but there are leaks. I can try to pull logs from the scanner itself. Maybe see why it said what it said. Robert moved closer. Do it. I will watch the door. Karen worked fast. She connected her device to a small port she found under a table panel. Lines of alien code scrolled across her screen. She frowned, then smiled. Got something. The scanner does not just scan once, it keeps running models in the background. It took our medical files, our suit sensors, even heart rates from the shuttle ride. Then it built simulations. She scrolled more. Look, in one run it drowned a human in acid. The simulation showed the person building a shield from suit material, breathing through a filter made from hair and cloth. Another run, extreme cold. The body slowed, but the mind stayed awake, long enough to start a fire with friction. Over and over, the human figure in the simulation changed the rules, found a way. The machine kept trying harder. Finally, it overloaded. Too many resets, too many adaptations. That is when it stopped and wrote, "Unkillable." Lisa crossed her arms. So it is not magic. It is us. We are too stubborn to model properly. Stephen rubbed his face. They are scared because they cannot predict us. That makes us dangerous in their eyes. John walked to the center of the room. Then we show them we are not here to destroy, but we also show them we will not die easy. Karen kept working. More data came in. They are preparing the test chamber now. It is below us. Armored walls, full control of air, temperature, gravity, everything. They want to push until something breaks. Robert checked his watch. How long? Hours, maybe less, Karen said. They move fast when afraid. John looked at his team. Each face showed different things. Worry, anger, focus, even a little excitement. He knew these people. They had trained together for years. They had faced storms on distant moons, engine failures in deep space, and the long quiet of empty black. They were not special. They were just human. We wait, John said. We stay calm. When they come for the test, one of us goes. We do not fight yet. We prove the point first. Lisa met his eyes. And if they do not stop after the test? John's voice stayed low and sure. Then we show them the hard way what unkillable really means. Outside the habitat, in the bright corridors of the station, more aliens gathered. Voices rose. Some called for caution. Others called for action. The word human spread like fire through dry grass. And always, underneath every conversation, the scanner's label repeated in quiet tones. Unkillable. The humans inside the locked room did not speak much more. They ate a little. They checked their suits. They sat close together. They waited. Because waiting was something humans knew how to do. And when the waiting ended, they would be ready. The door to the habitat opened without warning. 4 tall aliens in dark armor stepped inside. Their faces were hidden behind smooth helmets. Each carried a long staff that glowed at the tip. Zethar walked behind them. His silver eyes looked tired. They have chosen, Zethar said. 1 human will enter the test chamber. The rest stay here. No argument. John Hayes stood up slowly. Who goes? The armored aliens pointed at Stephen Grant. He was the youngest. His face went pale for a second. Then he took a deep breath and nodded. I will do it. Lisa started to speak. Stephen. No, he cut her off. I am ready. Let's see what they think unkillable means. Robert put a hand on Stephen's shoulder. You come back. That's an order. Stephen gave a small smile. I plan to. The guards let him out. The door closed again. The 4 humans left inside looked at each other. No one spoke for a long minute. I hacked deeper into their feeds. I can watch the test on my scanner. It is linked to the chamber cameras. John nodded. Show us. Karen turned her small screen so everyone could see. The picture was clear. A round metal room appeared. Thick walls, no windows. In the center stood Stephen. He wore only his thin undersuit now. His boots and jacket were gone. He looked small in the huge space. A voice came through speakers in the chamber. It was cold and mechanical. Subject, human. Test begins. Objective, reach fatal termination. Duration, Unlimited. Steven looked around. He flexed his hands. His face showed focus, not fear. First came the gas. Yellow smoke poured from holes in the floor. It smelled sharp, even through the camera feed. Steven coughed once, then held his breath. He ran to the wall and pressed his back against it. He tore a strip from the bottom of his undersuit and wrapped it over his mouth and nose. The cloth was thin, but he tied it tight. He breathed slow and shallow. The gas grew thicker. Steven's eyes watered. His skin turned red. But he stayed on his feet. Minutes passed. The smoke started to thin. The aliens had expected him to fall. He did not. Next came heat. The floor glowed orange. Air temperature jumped fast. Steven's suit fabric smoked. Sweat poured down his face. He moved to the center where the heat rose slower. He dropped to the floor and pressed his body flat. The metal burned his skin, but he rolled slowly, spreading the heat instead of letting one spot cook. Blisters formed on his arms and legs. He bit his lip until it bled to keep from screaming. Karen whispered, "His vitals are dropping, heart rate too high." Steven did not quit. He found a small vent near the floor. Hot air blasted out. He used his body to block most of it, then tore another strip of cloth and stuffed it into the vent. The heat slowed in that corner. He curled there, breathing hard, waiting for the temperature to drop. The chamber cooled suddenly. Then ice formed on the walls. Frost spread fast. Steven's breath turned white. His fingers went stiff. He hugged himself and rocked back and forth. His teeth chattered loud enough for the microphones to pick up. The cold bit deep. His body shook hard. He forced himself to move. He rubbed his arms and legs fast to make friction. He blew warm air into his hands. When the ice reached his feet, he stomped hard. Pieces broke off. He gathered the shards and held them against his chest, under the torn cloth. The cold hurt less when he controlled it. Slowly, his shaking stopped. He stood again. The aliens watching must have grown angry. Gravity changed next. It doubled. Steven dropped to his knees. His spine bent. Every breath felt heavy. Blood rushed to his head. He crawled to the wall and pushed his back against it for support. He forced air into his lungs, one slow pull at a time. Minutes dragged. His face turned purple. Veins stood out on his neck. Then gravity flipped. It pulled him to the ceiling. Steven hit hard. He grunted in pain. Bones cracked, maybe a rib. He hung there upside down, blood rushing to his brain. He reached up, now down, and grabbed a seam in the metal. He pulled himself along the ceiling like climbing a ladder. Hand over hand, slow, painful. He made it to a corner where the pull felt weaker. The chamber tried one more thing. Small drones flew out from hidden panels. They were round and fast, with sharp blades and electric tips. They buzzed around Steven like angry insects. One cut his arm deep. Blood dripped to the floor, now the ceiling. Another shocked his leg. His muscles locked. Steven did not panic. He watched their patterns. They flew in circles, predictable. He waited for the right moment. When two drones came close, he kicked hard. It spun and crashed into another. Sparks flew. The broken drones fell. He grabbed a piece of sharp metal from the wreckage and used it like a knife. He slashed at the rest. One by one, they dropped. Steven stood in the center again. Blood ran down his arm. His legs shook. Burns covered his skin. Broken ribs made every breath hurt. But he was still on his feet. The voice spoke again. Test paused. Vital signs, critical. Subject, still functional. The chamber doors opened. Medics, alien and careful, rushed in. They carried Steven out on a stretcher. He lifted one hand weakly and gave a thumbs up to the camera. Back in the habitat, The four humans let out breaths they did not know they held. Lisa wiped her eyes. He did it. Robert laughed once, short and rough. Of course he did. Karen checked her screen. The scanner is running again. On Stephen alone this time. New words appeared on the feed, big and bright. Re-evaluation complete. Species, human. Status, unkillable. Confirmed. Zethar's voice came through a speaker in the habitat. The test is over. Your volunteer lives. The label stands. The council is unsettled. John spoke to the air. Tell them we are not here to scare anyone. We just want to talk. Zethar did not answer right away. Karen looked at the others. They saw him survive things that should have ended any life. They cannot ignore it now. Lisa nodded. But they are still afraid. That makes them dangerous. John walked to the window. The gas giant storms looked the same. Slow, endless, powerful. Like humans, he thought. They kept turning no matter what hit them. Stephen would need time to heal. The rest of them would need to stay sharp. The test had ended, but the real challenge was just starting. In the halls outside, aliens talked in low voices. Some looked shocked. Some looked angry. A few looked thoughtful. The word unkillable spread faster than before. It was no longer just a scanner glitch. It was proven. And the humans inside the locked room knew one thing clearly now. The galaxy had noticed them. They would not be forgotten. The habitat stayed quiet for only a short time after the test. Then alarms sounded through the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors outside. A low rumble shook the floor. The humans inside looked up at the same moment. Karen Brooks checked her small scanner. They are moving troops, heavy ones, coming this way. John Hayes stood in the center of the room. They did not like what they saw in the chamber. Now they want to end it fast. Lisa Morgan moved to the door. She pressed her ear against it. I hear boots, many of them, and weapons powering up. Robert Klein cracked his knuckles. They're going to try to take us by force. Or worse. A voice came over the habitat speakers. It belonged to a new alien, one with a deep, rough growl. Humans of Earth, your presence threatens the coalition order. The council has voted. You will be removed. Do not resist. It will only make the process longer. John answered calmly. We still want peace. Let us talk. The voice laughed. A cold, sharp sound. Talk is over. The scanner proved you cannot be controlled. So you cannot stay. The door hissed. It began to slide open slowly. Through the gap, the humans saw a line of armored aliens. They held long rifles that hummed with energy. Behind them stood more with stun nets and containment fields ready. Karen acted first. She ran to the power panel she had found earlier. With quick hands, she pulled a wire and connected her tool. Sparks flew. The lights in the habitat dimmed. Then, the whole section lost power for a second. A loud pop echoed. The door stopped halfway. EMP burst, Karen said. Their fancy guns just became heavy sticks. The aliens outside shouted in surprise. Their rifles sparked and died. The containment fields flickered out. For a moment, they looked confused. Robert did not wait. He charged the half-open door. His shoulder hit it hard. The metal groaned and bent. He pushed through. Two aliens tried to block him. Robert grabbed one by the arm and twisted. The alien dropped. The other swung a staff. Robert caught it mid-swing and pulled the alien close. A quick headbutt ended that fight. Lisa followed right behind. She was smaller, but fast. She ducked under a swinging arm, grabbed a fallen stun baton, and used it on the next alien. The weapon still had some charge. The alien jerked and fell. John and Karen came last. John picked up a dropped rifle. He did not fire it. He used it like a club. Karen stayed back, but threw tools when she could. A heavy wrench hit one alien in the helmet and cracked it. The fight moved into the corridor. More aliens rushed in from both sides. They carried blades now, since energy weapons failed. The humans fought hard. They used the walls, the floor, anything close. Robert took a deep cut across his arm from a sharp claw. Blood ran down his sleeve. He roared and tackled the attacker into the wall. Lisa got hit by a stun blast that still worked a little. Her leg went numb. She fell to one knee. An alien raised a blade over her. John stepped in. He blocked the strike with the rifle barrel. Metal rang. He pushed back and kicked the alien in the chest. The alien flew backward. Karen shouted, "We cannot hold forever. We need to move." John looked around. To the shuttle bay. If we get there, we can reach the Odyssey. They ran. The corridor twisted and turned. Alarms screamed louder. Red lights pulsed. Aliens appeared at every corner. The humans fought through them. Punches, kicks, improvised weapons. They did not have the aliens' strength or armor, but they had something else. Anger mixed with calm focus. Robert lagged for a second. A plasma burn from an earlier shot had opened on his side. Smoke rose from his shirt. He pressed a hand to it. Blood leaked between his fingers. She grabbed his arm. "Keep moving. We are not leaving you." "I am fine," Robert grunted. "Just a scratch." He kept going. They reached a wide hall. More aliens waited. Dozens this time. A large reptilian commander stood in front. His scales shone green under the lights. He held a long spear that crackled with leftover power. "You fight well for weak things, but this ends here." John stepped forward. "We do not want to kill anyone. Let us leave. No more blood." The commander laughed. "You think you can leave, after what the scanner said? You are a plague. Unkillable means unstoppable. We stop you now." He raised the spear. His troops moved in. That was when the humans changed. They did not back down. They spread out. John took the center. Lisa went left. Robert right. Karen stayed behind to watch for surprises. The aliens charged. Robert met the first wave. He caught a spear thrust and twisted it away. Robert drove his elbow into the throat. The alien dropped. Another came from the side. Robert took the hit to his burned side. Pain flashed across his face. He still grabbed the attacker and slammed him down. Lisa moved like water. She dodged blades and struck weak points. Knees, necks, joints. One alien swung at her head. She ducked and swept his legs. He fell hard. John faced the commander. The big reptilian towered over him. The spear came fast. John sidestepped. He grabbed the shaft and pulled. The commander yanked back. They struggled for control. John's feet slid on the floor. The commander was stronger, but John did not let go. He twisted his body and used the commander's force against him. The spear flew from the alien's hands. John kicked the commander in the knee. The big alien roared and dropped to one knee. Karen shouted, "Now!" She had found a control panel. She slammed her fist on it. Emergency doors slammed down around the hall. They cut off half the alien troops. The ones trapped pounded on the metal. The commander stood again. He pulled a short blade. "You will die slow." John wiped blood from his lip. "We have heard that before." The fight turned brutal. The remaining aliens pressed hard. Robert took another hit, a blade across his chest. He staggered, but stayed up. Lisa pulled him back. "We go now." They pushed through the last line. Karen led them down a side passage. She knew the station layout from the hacked data. They ran past empty halls. Behind them, shouts and running feet followed. They reached the shuttle bay doors. Karen worked the lock. Her hands shook from adrenaline. The doors opened. The human shuttle sat there, untouched. They piled inside. John took the pilot seat. Lisa helped Robert into a chair. He sat heavily. His shirt was soaked red. "I will be okay," he said. "Just get us out." Karen sealed the hatch. John powered up the engines. The shuttle lifted. Alarms blared in the bay. The station tried to lock them in, but the EMP earlier had damaged the clamps. The shuttle broke free. They shot out into open space. The Odyssey waited ahead, lights on, ready. Back on the station, the commander stood in the hall. His troops gathered around him. Many lay hurt. He looked at the empty bay, his fists clenched. In the shuttle, John looked back at his team. Lisa bandaged Robert's wounds with torn cloth. Karen monitored the engines. Stephen's test had been one thing. This was another. They had fought. They had bled. They had not broken. John spoke quietly. We showed them. We do not die easy. Robert managed a weak grin. Told you. Just scratches. The Odyssey grew larger in the view screen. Home. Safety. For now. But the galaxy knew their name now, and the word that followed it. The shuttle docked with the Odyssey in a smooth, quiet slide. The bay doors closed behind them. Air hissed as pressure equalized. John Hayes powered down the controls and sat back for the first time in hours. His hands still shook a little from the fight. Lisa Morgan helped Robert Klein out of his seat. His chest bandage was dark with fresh blood, but he walked on his own. I can make it to the med bay, he said through tight teeth. Do not baby me. Karen Brooks sealed the shuttle hatch and checked the status lights. We are locked in. No pursuit signals yet. The station is still arguing with itself. Stephen Grant waited in the med bay. He lay on a bed with burns racked in clean gauze and ribs taped tight. When the others entered, he tried to sit up. You all look worse than me. John gave a tired smile. We had a small disagreement on the way out. The ship's doctor, a quiet woman named Laura Evans, moved fast. She scanned Robert first. Deep burn. Cracked ribs. Heavy blood loss. Sit down before you fall. Robert obeyed without argument. Laura worked in silence, cleaning wounds and applying seals. The team gathered around. No one spoke much. They just watched each other breathe. After a while, the ship's comm system beeped. A coalition channel opened. Zethar's face appeared on the main screen. His shell looked duller under the bright lights. Your escape has been noted. The Council is in emergency session. Many voices demand your destruction. Others demand reason. John stood straight. We defended ourselves. We did not start the fight. We still want peace. Zethar looked away for a moment, as if listening to someone off-screen. The great scanner has been brought to the main assembly hall. It will speak one final time. All species watch. Your actions force this. The screen split. One side showed Zethar. The other showed the huge round hall filled with aliens of every kind. Thousands of eyes stared at the silver pillar in the center. The great scanner stood silent, waiting. A voice from the council spoke. Scanner, reevaluate the human species in light of recent events. Include combat data, survival under attack, and refusal to submit. The pillar hummed. Blue light grew bright. It scanned the empty air, pulling data from every sensor on the station. Suit readings, fight footage, heart rates, everything. The hum grew louder. Lights flashed in wild patterns. Then the words appeared, huge and clear above the pillar. Species, human. Status, unkillable. Final confirmation. A wave of sound rolled through the hall. Gasps, clicks, growls, whispers. The council members looked stunned. Some stood. Others sat frozen. Zethar spoke again on the private channel. It is done. The label is permanent. No vote can change it now. The scanner has spoken. John kept his voice even. What does that mean for us? It means you cannot be treated as a normal threat. Elimination orders are cancelled. The aggressive faction loses power. We must adapt to your existence. Lisa crossed her arms. So we get to leave? Yes, Zethar said, with conditions. provisional membership in the coalition, trade rights, observation posts near your system, and a warning. Your unpredictability makes trust hard, but fear of you is now balanced by respect. Karen smiled for the first time. Respect is a good start. Robert, still on the bed, raised one hand. Tell them we accept. But if anyone tries to cage us again, we will remind them why the scanner said what it said. Zethar nodded slowly. The message is sent. Safe travels, humans. The galaxy will not forget this day. The screen went dark. John turned to his team. We go home. The Odyssey turned away from the gas giant. Engines glowed soft blue. The station shrank in the rear view, until it was just a small ring against the orange storms. Stars filled the screen again, familiar and endless. In the medbay, Laura finished her work. Robert slept under light sedation. Stephen rested nearby. The others sat in the common room. They ate real food from the ship's stores, simple things like bread and soup. It tasted better than anything they remembered. Lisa looked at John. Do you think they will really leave us alone? No, John said, but they will think twice before pushing. That is enough for now. Karen leaned back. The scanner called us unkillable, not invincible, not perfect, just unable to be ended. I think that is the truth of us. We bend, we break sometimes, but we come back. Stephen spoke from his bed through the open door. We come back meaner and smarter. They laughed quietly. The sound felt good after everything. Days passed on the journey home. Wounds healed, bruises faded. Robert walked without help. Stephen's burns turned to pink scars. They trained lightly, fixed small things on the ship, and talked about what came next. Earth appeared on the long-range sensors first, a small blue dot growing larger. Then the moon. Then the familiar shapes of continents. The Odyssey slipped into orbit. Messages poured in from ground control. Questions, cheers, worry. The crew answered them all with short words. We are home. We are safe. More later. John stood on the bridge alone for a while. He looked at the planet below. Oceans, deserts, cities, forests, all the places that had tried to kill humans for thousands of years, and failed. He thought about the scanner's words, unkillable. It was not a gift, it was a fact. Born from ice ages, plagues, wars, hunger, and the long dark between stars. Humans did not ask for it, they just lived it. A soft chime sounded. Incoming message from the coalition. John opened it. Humans of Earth. Provisional alliance granted. Trade lanes open. Embassy exchange proposed. The great scanner's verdict stands. You are welcome among us. With caution. John closed the message. He did not smile. He just nodded to himself. Later, the crew gathered in the common room one last time before landing. They raised cups of water. Nothing fancy. To being unkillable, Lisa said. To refusing to quit, Robert added. To coming home, Karen finished. They drank. Simple. Quiet. True. The shuttle descended through clouds. It touched down on a wide field near the main spaceport. People waited. Families, friends, reporters, officials. Cheers rose when the hatch opened. John stepped out first. Cameras flashed. Voices shouted questions. He raised one hand for quiet. We met the galaxy, he said. They scanned us, they tested us, they fought us, and in the end, they accepted us. Not because we are strong, not because we are smart, but because we never stopped trying. The crowd grew silent. We are not unkillable because nothing can hurt us, John continued. We are unkillable because when it hurts, we keep going anyway. That is who we are. That is what we bring to the stars. He stepped aside. The rest of the team came out. Bandages still visible. Scars fresh. But heads high, eyes clear. The word spread fast. On Earth, on the station, through coalition channels. Unkillable became more than a label. It became a story, a warning, a promise. Years later, alien children would hear it in lessons. Traders would whisper it in ports. Ships would carry the name into new systems. Humans, unkillable, not because a machine said so, but because they proved it.